Hi everyone. So I did not mean to leave you guys this long once again. I actually filmed 2 videos for you guys, and I was like, these are perfect, they're role plays, they'll love these, all these things. And then when I was editing the footage, all you could hear was my wig like rustling against the camera, and it was so bad. It wasn't like, oh, kind of like hair play vibes. It was like this really ugly sound. So I decided to go back to these headphones with the mic that sticks out, even though it's not as subtle for role plays. I think it will be like, just overall the quality will be better for you all. So hopefully it is. Today I'm just filming in some natural light. And I wanted to read to you guys a little bit. I'm gonna do, some different reading style videos. I did say in my update that I wanted to talk about books more, so I'm gonna do that. I recently got a bunch of books, and I actually just ordered more, so there will be a part 2 to this if you guys like it. But I don't think I can get a copyright strike if I'm just reading the synopsis. So I'm gonna read you guys just the synopsis of these books, see if you like them. And then if you do like the way I read them, we'll keep doing it. So that being said, let me grab a few of the books so I can read the synopsis, and I'll kind of tell you guys why I picked them up. So there is kind of a theme within these books that a lot of them are romance, and I am a big romance reader, but I'm very particular about my romance. Usually it's contemporary, and let me look. I have some historical romance up there, but I don't read like the mass-produced ones. Not that I don't like them, a lot of them are the same, and I guess that can be said for like these ones over here too. But regardless of all of that, you'll notice a trend within these ones. So, starting off, we have this lovely book here. I love the cover on this one. You guys can see it's A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Mayhem by Amanda Collins. I've never read anything by this author. So this is A Lady's Guide to Mischief and Mayhem, and I believe it is enemies to lovers. So let's read the back. England, 1865. Newspaper columnist Lady Catherine Bascombe finds herself the subject of speculation when her latest article leads to an arrest in the murders plaguing London. The English believe women ought not to write about such vulgar things as crime, and a particularly attractive detective inspector is incensed that she's interfered with his investigation. To escape her sodden notoriety, Catherine heads to the country, only to witness a murder upon her arrival. Detective Inspector Andrew Eversham is appalled when Lady Catherine entangles herself in one of his cases again. Her sensationalist reporting already nearly got him kicked off the police force, and he'll be damned if he permits her to meddle a second time. Yet her questions are awfully insightful, and he can't deny his attraction to both her beauty and brains. As the clues point to a dangerous criminal, the two soon realize their best option is working together. But with their focus on the killer lurking in the shadows, neither is prepared for the other risk the case poses to their hearts. So it's very, if anyone's read Stalking Jack the Ripper, it's very similar to that, kind of their reluctant partners sort of thing. So I picked this one up and I think it's going to be really good. And from the same author, I got An Heiress's Guide to Deception and Desire. I don't know that this is a series. It doesn't appear to be, but this one does take place after this one. So if these sound interesting, you're going to want to get the blue one first. Okay, so this one says, England 1886. As half of the writing duo behind England's most infamous crime column, Miss Caroline Hardcastle has quite the scandalous reputation. Okay, so it sounds like this female character here shows up in the first book. It may have cost her a fiancé, but she would rather bring attention to crimes across those ignored by society than worry about what the Ton thinks of her. After Caro's dear friend is kidnapped, she has no choice but to work with Lord Valentine Thorne, the same man who broke her heart. Worse, when her actions put her father's business at risk, a marriage of convenience may be her only solution. But can't she turn Val to stand by her? Or will their past repeat itself? Val, the new Viscount Rackham, is in an untenable position. His father is demanding he find a respectable bride to secure the succession, yet the only woman he's ever loved, Miss Caroline Hardcastle, is notorious for behaving improperly, and she's never forgiven him for their youthful transgressions, missteps made in the name of familial duty, but one he still regrets to this day. As they grow closer to untasking the culprit, Val sees an opportunity to show Caro he's a changed man, but can he convince her to give their love a second chance before death does them part? So this sounds like A Rogue of One's Own by Evie Dunmore. It sounds similar, so if you like that, maybe picking up one of these would be good for you too. The next one is another romance that I got from one of my favorite authors. This just came out on February 7th, and I actually bought it the day of release. And this is Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. This one caught my attention not only because of the author, but because of the main character. This is the first mid to plus size character that Tessa Bailey has in her books. So I'm very excited for a little body representation. And these are usually very, very spicy, just so you all know. So, Haley Welch fell hard for Julian Voss at 14 after they almost kissed in the dark vineyards of his family's winery. Now the prodigal hottie has returned to their small town. When Haley is hired to revamp the gardens of the Voss estate, she wonders if she'll finally get that smooch. But the grumpy professor isn't the teenager she remembers, and their polar opposite personalities clash spectacularly. One wine-fueled girls' night later, Haley can't shake the sense that she did something reckless, and then she remembers the drunken secret admirer letter she left for Julian. Oh, shit. On sabbatical from his Ivy League job, Julian plans to write a novel, but having Haley gardening right outside his window is the ultimate distraction. She's eccentric, chronically late, often literally covered in dirt, and so unbelievably beautiful he can't focus on anything else, until he finds an anonymous letter sent by a woman from his past. Even as Julian wonders about his admirer, he's sucked further into Haley's orbit. Like the flowers she plants all over town, Haley is a burst of color in Julian's grayscale life. For a man who irons his socks and runs on tight schedules, her sunny, chaotic energy makes zero sense. But there's something so familiar about her, and her very presence is turning his world upside down. So it sounds like whatever happened to them as teenagers, he doesn't remember, which could be very interesting. And in case you are wondering, enemies to lovers is one of my favorite tropes. So the next one is the American roommate experiment. These characters show up in the Spanish Love Deception, which I want to get, but my Barnes & Noble did not have it in stock. But it's by Elena Arams, and yeah, I'm gonna give it a go without reading the first one, because with romance you don't have to read them in order normally. So this one says, sometimes love just needs a little inspiration. Rosie Graham has a problem, a few actually. She just quit her well-paid job to focus on her secret career as a romance writer, only to enter a creative slump. Then the ceiling of her New York apartment literally crumbles on her. She heads to her best friend Lena's empty apartment, not knowing that Lena has already lent the studio to her cousin Lucas, who Rosie has been stalking, for lack of a better word, on Instagram. To Rosie's surprise, Lucas offers to let her stay with him, at least until she can find some affordable temporary housing. Soon, Rosie discovers that Lucas is intent on coming to her rescue like a Spanish knight in shining armor. Only this one strolls around the place in a towel, has a distracting grin, an irresistible accent, and comes with a set of mad cooking skills. And when Lucas learns of Rosie's writer's block, she proposes an outrageous idea to bring back her literary muse and meet her deadline. He'll take her on a series of experimental dates meant to jumpstart her romantic inspiration. Rosie has nothing to lose. Her silly online crush is totally under control. But Lucas's stay in New York has an expiration date, and 6 weeks may not be enough time for either her or her deadline. So this one sounds like Royal Holiday, which I have back here as well, where it's kind of a relationship of convenience and also on a time frame. So the next one is actually a bind up of 3 short stories. And, well, they're novellas, I should say. And these are by Ali Hazelwood, who wrote, where are they? Love on the Brain and The Love Hypothesis. So these are 3 of her novellas, which you can also get separate, but she did make a bind up. So these are Stuck Under One Roof, Stuck With You, and Below Zero. So let's check them out. So it says, a collection of steamy STEMinist novellas. Mara, Sadie, and Hannah are friends first, scientists always. Though their fields of study might take them to different corners of the world, they can all agree on their universal truth. When it comes to love and science, opposites attract and rivals make you burn. So Under One Roof, an environmental engineer discovers that scientists should never cohabitate when she finds herself stuck with the roommate from hell, a detestable big oil lawyer who won't leave the thermostat alone. That one is definitely enemies to lovers if I've ever heard one. Stuck With You, a civil engineer and her nemesis take their rivalry and love to the next level when they get stuck in a New York elevator. And Below Zero, a NASA aerospace engineer's frozen heart melts as she lies injured and stranded at a remote Arctic research station, and the only person willing to undertake the dangerous rescue mission is her longtime rival. All of these sound super fun, and like I will read through them very quickly. We have Well Traveled, which is part of this series, and Renaissance fair is on the move, and Lulu and Dex are happily along for the ride in the next utterly charming rom-com from Jen DeLuca, who's also one of my favorite writers. A high-powered attorney from a success-oriented family, Louisa Lulu Malone, lives to work, and everything seems to be going right, until the day she realizes it's all wrong. Lulu's cousin Mitch introduced her to the world of Ren fairs, and when she spies one during a time when she needs an escape, she leaps into the welcoming environment of Turkey Legs Tavern and tarot readers. The only drawback? Dex Macklin, a guitarist with a killer smile, the Casanova of the fair, and her traveling companion for the summer. Dex has never had to work for much in his life, and why should he? Touring with his brothers as the dueling kilt is doing great, and he always finds a woman at every fair. But when Lulu proves indifferent to his many plaid charms and his shake-up threatens the fate of the band, Dex must confront his future. Dex and Lulu are forced to spend days and nights together on the road, and Lulu's interest in the kilted bad boy grows as she shows her side of herself no one else has seen. The stresses of her old lifestyle fade away as she learns to trust her intuition and follow her heart instead of her head when her time on the road is over. Will Lulu go with her gut, or are she and Dex desperate for separate paths? So, I think this will be very good. Next, we have the book that basically was my most anticipated release of the year, so I was very excited to get it, and that is The Final Offer from Lauren Asher. It's a very thick romance, but it is one of my favorites. So if you guys don't know, I do love Disney. Couldn't you tell? And this is a world where Disney exists, but it's called something else, and there are 3 billionaire brothers who run it. And while they run it, they also have to fulfill requirements to a will that they have been written in from their grandfather. So they have to fulfill these requirements in order to get their inheritance, and that also includes their positions at the company. So this is the 3rd and final brother. This is Callahan, and he has to reconnect with an old friend. So it says, Callahan, I'm the Kane brother everyone gossips about behind closed doors. Trust fund brat, washed up athlete, high functioning alcoholic. No one knows the real me but her. Lana Casillo, my childhood best friend and the only woman I ever loved. When I broke her heart 6 years ago, I promised to never return to Lake Wisteria. I kept my word until my grandfather's will changed everything. To receive my inheritance, I was tasked with spending a summer at the family lake before selling it. The request was simple in theory until my entire plan blew up on the very first day. Turns out, Lana doesn't just live at the house, she claims to own it too. And then the next section is Alana. It says, falling in love with Callahan Kane was a mistake. He told me so before destroying my heart and our friendship 6 summers ago. When he promised never to come back, I foolishly believed him. But then Cal showed up again, intending to sell his grandfather's lake house. The biggest flaw in his plan, my name is on the deed. So the grandfather tends to kind of do these things that the boys have to unravel, like these very complex things. So if you read the first 2, you kind of know this, but this is the 3rd and final one, and it is the longest one in the series. The next one is The Last Romance I'll read from, and it is called What You Gonna Do. It has a very cute and pretty cover. It says, could it possibly get any worse than having absolutely no magical abilities when you're a member of the most powerful family of witches ever. I used to be that I'd say no, but when I keep getting set up on dates with Gil Connolly, whose hotness is only matched by his ego. Seriously, I can't stand him. Even as I also can't stop thinking about him, specifically kissing him. But we're going to pretend I never told you that part. So yeah, my life isn't the greatest right now. But then it goes straight into the absolute worst hell when I accidentally make my sister's spell glitch and curse my whole family. And the only person who can help non-magical me break the spell, you guessed it, Gil, the super hot jerk. Now we have to work together to save my family and outmaneuver some evil-minded forces bent on world domination. Oh yeah, and we have to do all that while fighting against the attraction building between us. Because I may not be magical, but what happens between Gil and I sure feels like it. Okay, last one. This is by Serena Valentino, who I've been reading a lot from this year. This is Raising the Horsemen. So it's a Disney-based book. The back says every family has skeletons. Cats just happen to be headless. Beware the Horsemen. The 200th anniversary of the Headless Horseman's legendary haunting of Sleepy Hollow is approaching, but Cat Van Tassel wants nothing to do with the town's superstitious celebrations. As a descendant of the original Katrina Van Tassel, Cat knows she's expected to live up to her ancestors' legacy by someday marrying her longtime boyfriend and running the prestigious family estate. But Cat dreams of a life outside Sleepy Hollow. Then Cat meets Isadora, a new girl in town, who challenges Cat to re-examine those expectations, open her eyes to the possibility that ghosts are real, and make her question who she truly wants to be and be with. When Cat is given the original Katrina's diary, a new legend begins to take shape, one that weaves together the past and the present in eerie ways. Can Cat uncover a 200-year-old secret and trace its shocking reverberations in her own life in time to protect what she truly loves? The ghostly novel from the New York Times bestselling author of Disney's villain series reimagines the legend of Sleepy Hollow through modern lenses. So I probably won't read this till Halloween. However, I did want to get it because it was on sale. So that is it for the book synopsis that I'm going to read for you guys today. If you want me to do like kind of a bedtime story thing, I can probably find some public domain stuff that I can read for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video.